Almond and Verba's political culture theory. Almond and Verba's political culture theory, articulated in their influential 1963 book, The Civic Culture Political Attitudes and Democracy in Five Nations, provides a comprehensive framework for understanding how different types of political cultures affect the stability and functionality of democracy. 1. Types of political culture. A. Parochial political culture. In this culture, individuals are largely uninformed and uninterested in political processes. Their lives are not significantly influenced by major political decisions, and their allegiance typically lies with local leaders or traditional authority figures, rather than the nation-state. B. Subject political culture. Individuals in this culture are aware of the political system and its impact on their lives, but are largely passive in their political behavior. They do not see themselves as participants in the political process, but rather as subjects who must obey the laws and policies without active involvement. C. Participant political culture. This culture is characterized by an informed and active citizenry that engages in the political process and feels capable of influencing government policies. People believe in their role as participants in democracy, contributing to the decision-making process and holding their leaders accountable. 2. Impact on democracy. Almond and Verba argue that a stable democracy typically requires a balanced mix of these cultural types. A healthy civic culture integrates elements of all three, combining the traditionalism of parochial attitudes with the passivity of subject orientations and the activism of participant culture. This blend helps maintain democratic stability by ensuring that, while citizens are engaged and participatory, they also value and respect the democratic system's procedures and norms. 3. Analysis of the five nations. The study's findings suggested that the degree of democratic stability in each country could be directly linked to the prevailing political culture. United States and United Kingdom. These countries displayed a predominance of participant culture, with high levels of civic engagement and a strong sense of political efficacy among citizens, contributing to a stable democratic framework. Germany and Italy. Post-war Germany and Italy were in the process of developing more participant-oriented cultures, moving away from historical subject and parochial attitudes that had supported authoritarian regimes. Mexico. At the time of their study, Mexico exhibited a more subject-oriented culture with limited participatory elements, which posed challenges to the development and deepening of democracy. Through their comparative analysis, Almond and Verba's work illuminated the complex ways in which political culture influences democratic governance. Their theory underscores the importance of cultural dimensions in sustaining democratic institutions and provides a framework for evaluating potential challenges and solutions in fostering democratic stability across different national contexts. This work remains a cornerstone for scholars studying political culture, democracy, and comparative politics, continuing to inspire debate and further research in the field. II. Democracy and political culture. Almond and Verba argue that democracy requires a participatory culture to function successfully. They theoretically explain that an ideal democratic society should have a democratic civic culture that is a mixture of these three cultural types. This means that subordinate and religious elements must be properly balanced, along with the activation of a participatory culture. Almond and Verba's concept of a democratic civic culture in their seminal work, The Civic Culture, Political Attitudes and Democracy in Five Nations, 1963, is pivotal for understanding the functional prerequisites of democracy. They argue that for democracy to be successful, a participatory culture is essential. Their theoretical framework proposes that an ideal democratic society comprises a blend of three cultural types: parochial, subject, and participant. Parochial culture. In this cultural setting, citizens typically have limited awareness of the political system and do not expect to influence it through their own actions. People in a parochial culture identify more with their local community than with the political system as a whole. Subject culture here, citizens are somewhat aware of the political system and its impact on their lives, but remain mostly passive participants. They do not engage actively in political processes, but are subject to its rules and governance. Participant culture, this culture represents the highest level of political culture, where citizens are both aware of and actively involved in the political system. These individuals not only comprehend their role within the political system, but also believe in their capacity to influence political outcomes. Almond and Verba assert that a stable and effective democracy requires a mix of these three cultures, creating what they term a democratic civic culture. In such a culture, the passive elements of the subject and parochial cultures are balanced with the active engagement found in participant culture. This balance ensures that while there is widespread participation and engagement in the democratic process, there is also stability and respect for the system itself. They further stress the importance of integrating subordinate groups and religious diversity into the political culture, suggesting that inclusivity enhances the democratic fabric. The activation of participatory elements within all groups ensures that democracy is not only a matter of institutional arrangements, but is deeply embedded in the society's cultural ethos. The theory posits that a democratic civic culture is adaptive. It evolves as the society changes, allowing the political system to respond to new challenges and the changing needs of its citizens. This adaptability is crucial for the long-term sustainability of democracy. In summary, Almond and Verba's notion of democratic civic culture highlights the importance of cultural elements in the functioning of democracy. It underscores that while institutions are important, the cultural dimensions of a society play a crucial role in shaping the effectiveness and resilience of democratic governance. This blend of awareness, participation, and respect for the system amongst the populace forms the bedrock upon which successful democratic societies are built. III. Influence and criticism. Although this theory has provided important insights into how political culture contributes to the development and maintenance of democracy, it has also been subject to several criticisms. Critics point out that in addition to cultural factors, economic, social, and historical factors also play an important role in the stability of democracy. Additionally, there are criticisms regarding the limitations of the research methodology and the Western-centric tendency of the theory. Almond and Verba's research is considered to have established the concept of political culture and made an important contribution to the study of democracy, and even today, many scholars refer to or criticize this theory and develop it. The theory of democratic civic culture proposed by Almond and Verba, while groundbreaking, has encountered various criticisms that challenge both its foundational assumptions and its broader applicability. 1. Influence of the theory. Almond and Verba's work has had a significant impact on the field of political science, particularly in the study of political culture. Their approach shifted the focus from purely institutional analysis of democracy to include the roles of values, beliefs, and attitudes of citizens. This has opened up a rich field of research that explores how deep-seated cultural factors can influence political stability and change. Their concept of a democratic civic culture, being a blend of participatory, subject, and parochial attitudes, has been particularly influential, serving as a foundational concept for subsequent studies, examining the interaction between culture and political systems. 2. Economic, social, and historical factors. Critics argue that Almond and Verba's theory overly emphasizes cultural factors at the expense of economic, social, and historical conditions that also significantly impact the development and maintenance of democracy. For example, economic disparities and historical inequalities might play as significant a role, if not more, in determining the stability and effectiveness of democratic institutions. This critique suggests that political culture cannot be fully understood without considering the broader socioeconomic context in which it is embedded, including factors such as economic development, class structure, and historical legacies of colonialism or conflict. 3. Methodological limitations. The research methodology employed by Almond and Verba has also faced criticism. The original study was based on surveys conducted in just 5 countries, all of which were Western, industrialized nations: the United States, United Kingdom, Germany, Italy, and Mexico. Critics argue that the sample is not only small, but also not representative of other global regions, particularly those with different historical and cultural backgrounds. This leads to concerns about the generalizability of the findings and the theory's applicability to non-Western contexts. Moreover, the reliance on survey data has been questioned for its ability to accurately capture the nuance and deeply embedded cultural attitudes that influence political behavior. 4. Western-centric bias. Related to the methodological limitations is the criticism that Almond and Verba's theory exhibits a Western-centric bias. The they
In this video, we're looking at political culture. We want to understand the definition of this very important concept and also look at the different categories embodied in this concept of political culture. All right, so by definition then, political culture is the composite of basic values, right? So a lot of things happening here. The composite of basic values, feelings, and knowledge that underlie the political process, right? So let's pause for a minute and take a closer look at this. The composite of basic values, that's values of citizens, their feelings and knowledge about the political process in the environment in which they live, in the space in which they live. The building blocks of political culture are the beliefs, opinions, and emotions of citizens towards their form of government, right? So the building blocks of political culture are the beliefs, one, the opinions, two, and the emotions of the citizens towards their form of government. So how do they relate with the form of government they have? How do they interact with the form of government they have? What is their view or perspective of the form of government they have? That's what this is saying. That's the definition by Lucian Pye. That's the definition of political culture. There are other definitions as well, but this is as good as any definition of political culture. Again, the basic values, feelings, and knowledge that underlie the political process, right? So again, we want to understand what the values are of the citizens, what their feelings are, and what knowledge do they have about the political process in their environment, in their space, in their country, in their communities, whatever the case may be. And then it says here, hence the building blocks, of political culture are the beliefs, opinions, and emotions of citizens towards their form of government. Okay, all right. So it's important for us to have a firm understanding of the definition of this concept, political culture, before we go into the different categories of political culture. Now, there are 3 main categories outlined by Gabriel Almond and Sidney Faber. The first one is parochial. The parochial category includes citizens who don't care about politics. Right, these people just don't care about politics. They go about their daily lives, not worrying about politics. They don't, if anything happens politically, they are not bothered. They don't care to investigate those events and activities of politicians. They just live in society without really bothering about what's going on in their society politically, right? So they are parochial citizens, don't care about politics. Then they are participant citizens, who are citizens that are active in the political process, right? And that's why they are participants. They're citizens that are active in the political process. And what does that mean? It means they pay attention to what's happening in the political process, in the political environment. They participate in the political process by voting. Some of them attend, city hall meetings. They have their input. They take surveys and so forth. They are very active in the political process. Right, and then they understand the meaning of being active and being responsible and being part of the political process. This way, they can make decisions. They can make informed decisions when it comes to elections. They know who their leaders are, what their policies are, what the ruling party is all about, what the opposition is all about, and so forth. And then we have the subject category, who are citizens that are passive, right? Citizens that are passive. Now, these people that are passive are different from these people who just don't care about politics, right? So these people are passive. There's apathy, right, in the system, but they are aware of what's going on. They have awareness of what's going on, of political events, but they just don't take any actions. Just don't take any actions to respond to those activities of politicians. They're just simply passive. And they have this mentality that okay, so this is about politics. It really doesn't concern me. I'm not going to take part in this and so forth. So they are passive in the process, right? So let's take a look at this closely. So here it says parochial political culture. Citizens lack knowledge. Right, in this category, which goes with this here, this is one, right? Citizens lack knowledge, interest in political input and output, right? Simply lack knowledge, interest in political input and output. Again, they're not interested, don't want to be bothered, etc. In the subject political culture, this is two here, this is two, and this is two. Right. In the subject political culture, there is awareness of the political process. The citizens are less passive participants, right? Again, there's an awareness. There's a general awareness. If you ask them about what's happening in the political environment, they can tell you what's going on in the political environment. But are they doing anything about it? No. Are they participating in the process? No. Are they holding their leaders accountable? No. Right? So they are aware of the process, but there's apathy that prevents them from, really taking part in the process, in political process, and and hold leaders accountable. And then the participants, number 3 here, participants, once again, awareness of the process. Citizens believe in the rights to participate, right? So not only are they aware of the process, right? Not only are they aware of the process, there is a strong belief that they have a right to participate in the process, right? By electing the leaders, once again, by holding leaders accountable, recalling leaders, attending parliamentary meetings that are open to the public, city hall meetings and council meetings that are open to the public and so forth. Being part of that process, right? So they're aware of their rights, they're aware of their responsibilities, and they take them seriously, and they take those things very seriously. So these are the 3 main categories when we talk about political culture in a society as a concept. When we talk about political culture, this is what we're talking about. The 3 categories embedded in this concept of parochial, which are citizens who simply don't care about politics, participants who are citizens that are active in the political process, and subjects, citizens who are aware of the political process but are simply passive. There's a lot of apathy in them, and they don't see their role, they don't see the importance of their role in the process. This is political culture.
희귀성 신장 질환을 갖고 태어나 20살 시한부 선고를 받은 서영희.